Hi, everybody. So for quite a while now, we have been thinking about this idea of a strategy, and to thank those who, in fact, have already been volunteering in various aspects of running call. Certainly, there's the leadership team, but there's also folks who step up and help out with events, and to thank those who, in fact, have already been volunteering in various aspects of running call. Certainly, there's the leadership team, but there's also folks who step up and help out with events or volunteer to assist with like the barbecues and the walks that we've done, and obviously the newsletter. And we decided that we needed to have a more organized structure than just simply saying, well, if you want to volunteer, just put up your hand, because we have to have a sort of sustainable, ongoing core of people to make sure that that call continues. We don't have staff. We don't have money to hire people. That's not the kind of organization where we rely on volunteers. And we can't, obviously, any organization like this cannot rely on the same people doing absolutely everything. It's not sustainable. We realize that people, first of all, have a lot of time constraints. When somebody volunteers, they probably would like to know what kind of commitment that's going to be and what exactly is involved in volunteering. So we decided we would embark on a strategy of developing task descriptions in order to allow us to show what would be involved if you volunteered for some particular activity. And this has taken us quite a while to develop because, of course, everything's being done by volunteers. And since we haven't recruited a lot of volunteers, we keep relying on the same people over and over again. And that's what, in fact, why we've developed this strategy, because that's, first of all, not sustainable. And secondly, especially with a group like ours, we need to have a strategy for replacing people. Our strategy is sharing the workload, as you can see on this slide, and increasing engagement. So we want to make sure that we have more people involved so that we don't burn people out. We want to increase the engagement because some people have said, I'd like to volunteer, and I've offered to volunteer, but nobody's gotten back to me because we didn't have really a structure in place to try to figure out how to do that. We also recognize that there are some people who don't have the time really to put into call because they're engaged in a whole bunch of other things in their life and they don't have the time. But there are people who would like to do more, but the framework for them to do that isn't there. So if we can increase engagement, we reduce the workload on some of the people who are currently doing work. And also we would be able to support more social interaction. I think one of the things we discovered, of course, in call is that we were pretty much online right from the beginning. But over the last year or so, we've had some smaller group meetings, and those meetings have been really useful and interesting, and people who felt comfortable coming out to a meeting had the opportunity to engage and develop friendships with other people, got to know them outside of the Zoom world, and had a chance just to socialize. We've had a few meetings that volunteers put together in a pub. That's happened a couple times, and those events were really, really helpful for engagement. So this is an example or a sort of a screenshot of what our volunteer tasks look like. You're not going to be able to read the small print there. That's not. We just want to just sort of show you what it looks like. But we put all of these tasks in a shared Google folder. In other words, a drive on the internet where all of our task descriptions are going to be kept. When we have the website up and running, you'll be able to go to the website and click on something and get a link to this. But in the meantime, we've created this drive. We've developed a number of opportunities. Some of them are time limited. Like there's one where we want people to test out our website. well, this task is only going to last for about, 3 weeks, but we need people to step up and say, yeah, when it's ready, I'll sort of go on the website and I'll click on the different pages and I'll see if there's any problems with it. So there's a time limited example. And then there are other opportunities that are more long-term. We have, for instance, as Peggy mentioned, we're in partnership with 5 or 6 climate organizations, some of them national and international, some of them local, just Toronto-based or GTA-based. And there's a liaison role with those organizations, which means attending their meetings, reading the communication that the group sends, getting back to call to say, I think this is something that we need to partner more strongly with this organization. It's something that really fits our mission that we described earlier, and is an opportunity for either amplifying a message from that group or partnering on some activity that the group is proposing. And vice versa, we can also let that group know what we're doing, and they can join in on something that we're working on. As I think, as Ben mentioned, the newsletter is managed by Anne and Karen, but they would like to have a smaller team who could also participate and learn how to do it, and relieve the 2 of them from having to do every single newsletter. There's also a liaison to the Small Change Fund, which doesn't have bookkeeping required, but does have to do with the income and the expenses that go through the Small Change Fund, sort of keeping a track of the donations, thank you notes to the people who have donated, and then making sure that any expenses that we incur get paid by the Small Change Fund. We're developing a curriculum committee. So as you know, or probably know, the leadership team generally has taken on that task, but we think that we should sort of democratize this process of what do we need to talk about at our monthly meetings, and develop a small committee. There'll be a couple leadership team people on that committee, but we want more people to step forward and help with the development of the annual plan. We would start that process now for next September, because we have everything in place till the end of June. So that's one thing. Some of these tasks are just one individual. We're asking somebody just to do a particular task, and other things are more group oriented. In other words, we'd look for a team of a few people to do something. That's sort of the range of kind of opportunities. So we've got teamwork, we've got solo work, we have time limited, and we have some sort of one-off and some short-term projects. And then we have a longer-term annual kind of project. What we've done with the task descriptions is that we've described it. We've said how many people are optimal to try to help with that task, the timing, and then the effort it would take. How many hours per week or how many hours per month do we think this task would take? So for instance, the website tester is about 3 hours a week for a period of maybe 4 to 6 weeks at the most. Whereas one of the liaison roles would be 2 to 3 hours a month for their regular meeting, which is on a fixed day during the week, and then reading emails that come in. So that would be sort of the time commitment, and then getting back. So the time commitments are varied. So those are some of the ideas, and we can, when you go to the drive, if you're able to click on that link, you'll see what all the opportunities are. The link to the folder will be in the chat, but we recognize that not everybody is comfortable with, Google Drives and internet related things. So that if you really are interested in some more information about this, you can just email any one of us, or our contact us email, or memberships email, or membership email at climatelearners.ca. If you send an email there, we can then get in touch with you, and we can chat about it, and we can tell you more information about what the opportunities are, and we can have a more sort of non-technical or non-virtual kind of discussion about what the volunteer opportunities are. I think what we're trying to get across here is that we do have tasks that we have as a leadership team held on to for the lack of having a system for getting people engaged. And now we've codified those, we've written them down. We know when things have to happen. We know how much time it takes to do it. And we know the kind of skills that we're looking for. And we're hoping that people will consider taking us a role in assisting with making sure that call continues. So, questions?
So, Michael, my main purpose for being a part of call is the advocacy work. And so I didn't hear you mention tasks directly, explicitly associated with advocacy work. I think it would be useful to delineate what some of those might be.
Well, we've sort of leaving the interest groups to define their own volunteer tasks. These are tasks that relate to call as a whole. And the interest groups, some interest groups have volunteer opportunities and some don't. For instance, the advocacy group has had two small work groups that have been working on. One was on offsets and another is on energy. And you, Jennifer, you're sort of leading the adaptation and mitigation side of research, and you may decide that you would like to have somebody to work with you on that. So the opportunities within the interest groups would come up within the interest groups and would not be sent out to the entire group. Same thing with nature-based solutions. There are volunteers who come and help with the walks and organizing outdoor events. And usually 2 or 3 people will work on that. The tree planting is an example where Alan gives us information about the tree planting and we pass that on. So we're kind of separating the interest groups from the overall call volunteer system. So that's sort of our objective, and we hope that people will consider perhaps thinking about some of the opportunities that we posted on the drive, and later on, and we'll have it on the website, and think about joining us and helping us with that. And also, as Peggy mentioned, you can get in touch with Peggy if you're interested in joining the leadership team. It's all just anybody who's interested, step forward and have a chat with Peggy, because it's not a closed system. We're happy to have new people engaged. But you may not want that leadership team commitment, which is a little bit heavier time commitment for sure, but we have now all these other opportunities. So thanks.